Good evening, folks. It is the 18th of July and I've just popped out for an evening bimble. Thought I'd catch up. I haven't done a video for a while. There's one that I'm currently editing. Last weekend I did a trip up through the Pennines, Peak District Pennines, skirting the Yorkshire Dales over to the Lake District. Didn't stop in the Lake. I stopped overnight in the Lake District, but didn't do any of the roads in the Lake District, and then just headed back again. Just needed to get away for my weekend, just to clear my head a little bit. That was, oh crikey. Seems to be the season for roadworks. Not been up to much, really. Well, I'll be really honest with you, I think I'll mention it it'll probably be mentioned in the other video that's going to be coming out, but last month, beginning of last month, my dad passed away, so that's kind of been completely occupying my mind, dealing with all of that, or when I'm not dealing with it, just generally not really feeling in the mood to go out on a bike, to be honest with you. So it's a bit of a shame given the incredible weather we've been having. Not much else has been happening, to be fair. Have I done anything to the bike? Oh well, fitted a set of crash bars, Touratech ones. I'd ordered those a while ago. I don't like them, but I don't like them not because there's anything wrong with them, I just don't like crash bars, but I figured, sod's law, isn't it? You don't put them on and you'll drop it. You do put them on, you'll never drop it. Well, there we go. I'll put them on and never drop it, hopefully. Could have done a fitting video for those, couldn't I? But they were I think there's a couple of them already on YouTube and they really are dead easy. So apart from actually the only thing that if anyone is interested, when it refers to the left or the right, my immediate question was, well, is that the left and the right when I'm looking at the bike from the front or from the back? Turns out it's from the back. So there you go. That's about the only thing you need to know. Beyond that, 3 bolts, job done. What else is there? I'll be finishing work in 2 weeks now. Finish at the end of July. I think I mentioned before, let's go down. It's nice and quiet down there. Can't remember exactly where it leads to, but I don't mind. Yeah, I'll freelance, so contract's not being renewed. Nothing to do with my performance, actually, but just the way it goes sometimes. So I've had as they say, I've had a damn good innings out of this one. I'm working on this contract since COVID. Which has all been remote because it's working for an American company, so oh, of course it's here, isn't it? Yeah. I've got a photo of the old Himalayan there. Let's go this way. Just come out through Knoll. Is this the brand new or Stratford? I'm not sure. Anyway. Yeah, so I'll be a free agent in August. After a pretty heavy year, shall we say, with my dad. So I'm kind of looking forward to just having a bit of a break. It's unfortunate, really, because well, it's not unfortunate, it's just circumstance, this is what it is, but I usually go away on my European trips first 2 weeks of July, and whilst I was going to be doing that this year, having been notified that the contract won't be renewed, I thought, well, it wouldn't make sense to then go off for 2 weeks on holiday when I could be earning some money. And I've kind of got the plan of going in September, mainly because although I'm obviously free through August, I'm really not keen on the idea of going away to Europe during the summer holidays. I know that obviously most of France shuts down during August. Most of the United Kingdom heads off to Europe. Oh no, I think it's going to be a little bit too busy for my liking, and obviously the prices have ramped as well. So a few years ago I did a trip to Slovakia to meet Finn, and that was late September, and I struck gold with the weather, so I'm sort of thinking if I go early mid-September, perhaps this time, I've got a fancy heading down to Portugal. I think this sounds familiar, this. I think I've probably talked about this before, but yep, head down to Portugal, catch the last of the sun down there, do a bit of a loop and back. Let's say that. As I say, that's the plan at the moment. Some nice gaffs up here. And I just came out tonight just for a quick blast. It's funny how, I don't know, even though it's only middle of July, I always feel like once you get into July, we're running out of, once we've gone past longest day really, I kind of feel like, oh, we're running out of time, you know, I've got to make the most of the summer and blah blah blah, even though, yeah, I sort of sit at home and think, oh, I shouldn't have just sat here, I should be out on the bike, I should get out and make the most of it, because we all know, don't we, once we get into winter and the darker nights coming again, I think, oh god, I wish I'd give anything for a light night now to be out on the bike. So here I am, making the most of it. Lapworth. Oh, I suppose, not that it's really relevant, but none of this is relevant, is it? Let's be honest, but I'm just chatting away. When I purchased this bike, it already had a tracker fitted. It was Datatool Stealth, and I'd not bothered setting up a subscription on it myself. I've heard so many stories of them flattening the battery, and that's it really, just problems with draining the battery. Which with all the electronics on these damn things nowadays does worry me a little bit. But I conceded anyway, I won't talk about it now, but in the video that you'll see eventually once I finish editing it up, it'll be quite long because I did an awful lot of talking and where was I going? Waffling again, aren't I? Oh yeah, but in that I just talk about how conscious I seem to have become of motorcycle theft. And going away last week, I must admit, I sort of thought, yeah, it would have been nice to have had the tracker just to, because the bike's parked outside. I mean, the hotel I stayed in was absolutely fine, it was secure. I was like, oh, it would have been nice to have just had the tracker, you know, just to sort of know it was still there. Oh, mate, I'm letting you go. So I got back and I thought, do you know what, it's like £10 a month, let's just renew it. See how we go. You know, if I get real problems with the battery, I can always just ring them up and say, sack it off, I don't want it. Yeah, so last night I tried setting up I've got to say their website and the app is pretty average to say the least. They're clearly geared far more towards fleet management rather than just individuals. So, anyway, you obviously have to just punch. You get like, I don't know, 25 texts a month that it will send to you, because this is actually, the text actually come directly from the device itself. I'm trying to set that thing off last night, none of that worked. I ended up having to ring them today. And they've corrected the number in their system, even though I punch it into the Datatool app and it just either stripped off the leading 0, the country code, and then took off the trailing 9, or you leave off the leading 0 and then it's still stripped off the trailing 9. Anyway, whatever. Bottom line was, tested it earlier and it's now working, so we'll see how that goes. If I find I keep getting nagged by them for false alerts, I'll turn it off. So I think I was a bit disappointed though. I didn't realise was it only alerts, or it only triggers to them, to their call centre, to call me after 150 metres of continuous movement without the fob, which actually means that all they're then doing is ringing you to say your bike's been nicked. They're not ringing you to say, oh, do you want to go and see if it's being nicked and then maybe stop the scroats? You've got no chance of that. It's like, no, your bike is already halfway down the street by the time they're even going to call you. Yeah. I mean, I was speaking to the guy there today, the nice chap. He said, yeah, we don't want to encourage people to go running out and potentially put themselves in a dangerous situation with thieves. Like, yeah, okay, I can see your point there, but equally, I'm a grown man. I can make that decision myself, thanks. If I go running towards my motorcycle and there's 4 youths hanging around it on scooters, as they usually do, with crowbars and angle grinders, and they threaten me with them, I'm not going to let them have the bike, you know. I'm not going to fight them for it. I'm not an idiot. But I wouldn't mind the opportunity to at least put them off. You know, if they're halfway through, cutting through a disc lock, and I go shouting and waving my arms at them like a lunatic, maybe they would be discouraged and run off, and I'd be left with my bike. Seems that that's not the case though. Although, hopefully, with the SMS notification, I will get that opportunity. Also, got to sound like some kind of sales pitch for Datatool there, don't I? I'll let you know how I get on with it, in particular whether it does drain my battery. As you can see, I'm certainly not going anywhere here. Just potter around, nowhere in particular. Single track road, no passing. I'll go this one instead then. I guess I could talk about the motorcycle theft thing now, really, couldn't I? And maybe whether I'll leave it in on the other vlog or not, because that one was long enough as it was. So. Where I am at the moment is I seem to be. I've ridden bikes for 30 years, and I've always been conscious of motorcycle theft, but it's never been at the forefront of my mind. Common sense. If I go away on European trips or anywhere in this country, I'll always look for secure parking. For me, what that means is I won't park on the street. I would never stop somewhere that doesn't have its own private parking. On booking.com, first thing I do is put in the filters, private parking. You know, that's my first filter. And then sometimes I'll even try and look at the reviews to see whether anybody mentions anything about the parking, because sometimes they can say, yeah, private parking. It turns out that the reviews say, yeah, no, it's not really private parking, it's public parking that's in a paid multi-storey car park over the road. Again, I'm not interested in that either. I prefer something on the premises, really. So that's about as far as I'll take it. So on a little disc lock, job done. But I wouldn't really give much thought to the bike during the evening whilst I'm there. But since I'd watched a couple of these videos from people like Two Wheel Dreamer and Bike Like Mike, both of whom have had their bikes stolen. I mean, both of them were stolen in Reims, or Reims as most people would read it on the map, in France. So that one area is certainly a place to avoid. There's a bit of advice to people, I think, if you haven't seen it, is I'll be very conscious about where you park your bike in Reims. In fact, I think it goes to just say the same thing for any major city in France. I wouldn't be parking. As I say, I've already said I wouldn't be parking on the street, and I suppose what I'm saying is I'd recommend others to sort of think carefully before doing it as well. But, you know, we've all got our own appetite for risk, haven't we? My point that I'm eventually going to get to here is that motorcycle theft is now right at the forefront of my mind. I'm really conscious of it now. And I think some of that is because I've watched 2 videos on YouTube that are related to motorcycle theft. Of course, the Google algorithm is now sort of like, oh, have a look at this, look at all these bikes being nicked, look at all these scroats on scooters angle grinding through these disc locks, and oh Christ, yeah, I'm like, oh, this is terrible. I'm like, is it terrible, or am I just being sucked in by the YouTube algorithm? But the bottom line is, once that seed of doubt is planted in your mind, it's difficult to not think about it. And with that in mind, I've purchased a lot. So 130. Well, it's supposed to be £150. I think it was £20 off. Yeah, so £130 for a Litelock X1, which is supposed to be angle grinder proof. and it also fits nicely through the hub and spokes on the front wheel on the GS, so that was one of the big selling points of it for me. Sheeps. Oh, hello pussycat. £130 for what is essentially, it's a U-lock, I'm sure people will have seen it, I might put a picture of it up, but it comes highly recommended, so £130 for what is essentially a disc lock. But again, I'm sort of thinking, yeah, if I've now got to purchase that peace of mind, then I'm happy to do that. And the tracker is kind of part of that as well. As with everything with theft, it's not about, you never stop them from stealing yours, it's just about trying to make yours less desirable than the guys next to you, isn't it? I'm curious, have other people, has it become something that you've become more mindful of recently, or is it something you've always been concerned about, or are you still in the camp of what will be will be? I'd be interested to know people's thoughts. Very nice. I'm not sure, something else I'm not sure that I've mentioned was my son to have an operation on his hand, specifically on his thumb. He severed a tendon in his thumb at work. So all this year I've lost my riding buddy for this year, because he obviously hasn't been able to ride his bike. The bugger hasn't even bloody cleaned it either, which I keep nagging him to do. Fortunately, the operation, I mean, it was all a bit of a mess with the NHS. He went into A&E and they kind of just sent him home and went, yeah, no, it's fine, it's just swollen. 3 weeks later, no movement in the thumb. Went back, got referred to a specialist, and he was like, yeah, no, you should have been sent to me straight away, you've severed your tendon. And now, of course, because it's 3 weeks later, it's a lot more complicated. They've had to graft. So anyway, but luckily splints are off and start to see some good movement there, which is great. So hopefully we'll be back out on the bike soon. For anyone that hasn't seen it, that'll be the Muppet that came along with me last year on my France trip. It's a bit unfair calling him a Muppet, but him no money missing. So yeah, that's about it really. That's a quick update and a general waffling of sorts about all sorts of nothingness. I like doing these, don't I? Just coming out and just pottering along and chatting away to you. Even though no, very few people are watching, but I don't mind. I spend most of my life talking to myself anyway, so why not do it in front of the camera? As I say, hopefully once I get a chance to get that other video edited up, I'll get that one out. No idea what else I'm doing really. Moment. I'm not going to make content just for I'm not going to make content just for the sake of making content, which is actually exactly what I'm doing right now. But I'll leave it there. So until the next one, thanks for coming along on this quick update. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's enjoying the summer. Keep doing it. Keep enjoying the summer. Make the most of it. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.